It started in the garage. That room always felt like mine. Concrete floors stained with oil, the hum of an old fluorescent light, the faint smell of gasoline soaked into the walls. A place where things could be fixed, repaired, where bolts responded to pressure and problems came with diagrams and parts you could hold in your hand. I just finished replacing the throttle cable on Zach's motorcycle, crouched beside the wheel, grease soaked into the lines of my palms. He stood there behind me, silent at first. I remember glancing at his shadow, expecting maybe a thanks, or even just a nod, something. But instead I got the blade. "Stop calling me your son." I looked up, still kneeling. "You're just my mom's husband." There wasn't anger in his voice. That might have hurt less. Anger, at least, means you're still inside their world. This was emptiness. Clean break. A sentence rehearsed like he'd been holding it for years, waiting for the exact moment it would cut deepest. I said nothing, just set the wrench down on the workbench, wiped my hands, and walked out without a word. The next morning I made the calls. His boxing coach, the one I paid out of pocket every month without a receipt, got the first ring. I told him Zach would no longer be sponsored by me. The account was closed. His math tutor, a retired engineer I'd found on Craigslist and vetted personally, was next. I told him to take Zach off the schedule. Then I called the manager at the restaurant where I had vouched for Zach to get his first job. I told her that if any emergency came up, I was no longer the number on file. "You'll need to contact his biological father," I said, knowing full well that man hadn't called Zach in 4 birthdays. The line went quiet each time. Nobody argued. Nobody asked why. Maybe they all knew. Maybe they'd seen the imbalance too. My phone stayed quiet after that. No messages. No angry texts. No apologies. Not even a missed call. 5 years. That's how long I'd been married to Emily. 5 years in that house just outside Seattle. A quiet street, hydrangeas out front. Neighbors who waved at us like we were some ideal suburban portrait. Zach was 14 when I met him. He still wore braces back then. Still laughed when I'd push him in a shopping cart through the aisles. Back then, he used to call me Big M. Said it made me sound like a pro wrestler. I let him. I thought I was building something. Every man wants to believe in what he builds. That first year, I replaced the kitchen tiles myself, tore up the old linoleum Emily hated, installed a backsplash while Zach watched me from the counter with a root beer in his hand. When the heater failed in winter, I slept 3 nights in the crawlspace fixing the ducts, wrapped in fiberglass and sweat. No complaints. When Zach got a C- in biology, I sat up 3 weekends helping him make flashcards. Quizzed him between bites of takeout. Bought him model kits to make cell structures out of foam. It didn't happen all at once, the shift. It never does. Disrespect is erosion, not explosion. A shrug here, a muttered insult there. Over time, his face stopped lighting up when I came home. His jokes got sharper. He'd ignore me unless he needed a ride or gas money. He wanted the benefits of fatherhood. Without the father. Emily saw it. That part still eats at me. She was there during the eye rolls, the sarcastic backtalk. She heard him call me by my first name at the dinner table. She watched him huff and stomp up the stairs when I asked him to mow the lawn or empty the dishwasher. And each time she said nothing. Maybe she thought it wasn't worth the fight. Maybe she thought, he's a teenager, they grow out of it. But silence adds up. I remember one night, I don't even know why it sticks with me. We were watching a movie in the living room, some superhero flick. Zach walked in, grabbed a handful of chips off the bowl I was eating from, then walked out without saying a word. Emily said nothing. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was becoming a joke I was the only one in on. He needed me always. My credit card was on his phone plan. I paid his gym membership, his car insurance, his summer courses. I was the one who bought him the laptop he bragged about to his friends. The same one he cracked the screen on and expected me to replace. And every time I did. Quietly. Willingly. Like a fool holding out for a parade that would never come. Zach learned early that he could treat me like background noise and still get what he wanted. And Emily? She made herself small in those moments. Shrinking into the cushions beside me, looking away like if she didn't acknowledge it, it wasn't really happening. That's the part one can't let go of. Because when a boy crosses a line, you expect discipline. But when the mother stays silent, that's permission. She never outright sided with him, but she never stood with me either. And silence is a language all its own. The night after that garage moment, we had dinner like normal. Chicken, roasted potatoes, green beans with the ends snipped off just how Zach liked them. He didn't show up until halfway through the meal. Walked in with headphones around his neck and a hoodie still zipped up. I watched him from across the table. Wondered if he even remembered what he said. Wondered if he'd repeat it again. Maybe louder this time, like he was proud of it. He didn't speak to me. Just asked Emily to pass the butter. Then went back to scrolling through his phone. She passed it to him with a smile. I waited for her to say something. To acknowledge the thing he'd dropped between us like a landmine. She didn't. And right then I realized he wasn't the only one who saw me as temporary. To them I was a fixture, a mechanic for the household, a faucet of funds and solutions. Nothing more. That night, I sat alone on the porch with a beer in my hand and the silence pressing in all around me. You'd think quiet is peaceful, but it's not. Not when you know it's hiding something. That house felt like a museum of unspoken things. Zach's words hung in the air like smoke, curling into every corner. You're just my mom's husband. It rang with more weight each time I replayed it, like a label slapped across my chest. I remembered every school meeting I sat through, every late night helping him with essays, every game I drove him to when it rained and no one else showed. I remembered paying the emergency dental bill the one time he got hit in the jaw sparring at the gym. Emily was in tears. I didn't hesitate. I remembered all of it. He remembered none of it. Because what he wanted wasn't me. It was what I gave him. And Emily? She wanted peace. Even if it meant pretending I hadn't just been carved out of my own family. She would rather live in the comfort of denial than disrupt the illusion they were trying to preserve. One where real dad was a ghostly hero forever blameless, and I was the guy who fixed appliances and paid the bills. So I made a choice. No more reminders. No more begging for inclusion. I'd stop forcing myself into a role they clearly didn't want me in. Let him figure out what life looks like without the man he says means nothing. Let her sit with the silence she helped build. You're not my dad. Maybe he was right. But if I'm not the dad, then I'm not the wallet. Not the emergency contact. Not the reason the lights stay on. Let's see how far his real father gets him. It unraveled on a Tuesday. Not with a bang. Not with a door slamming or a screaming match. Just a sentence. One tossed off like a joke. Like I wasn't even standing in the same house. Zach had friends over for his birthday. He'd just turned 19, technically a man. But not in the way that mattered. They were in the kitchen, half drunk on cheap beer, pretending to be wise. I was in the hallway, around the corner, unseen but close enough to hear every word. He thinks he's my dad just because he bought me a laptop, Zach said. It's kind of pathetic. A round of laughs followed. Quick, sharp. Then footsteps, fridge opening, beer caps hitting tile. That was my line. Not the first insult. Not the only wound. But the moment I knew the story was over. I didn't say anything that night. Didn't confront him. Didn't burst into the room demanding an apology like some insecure child. I just walked past the door, nodding once, like I hadn't heard a thing. I stayed quiet. But silence is never empty. The next morning I acted. Not with anger. Not with shouting. Just with decisions. I logged into the college payment portal. Canceled the upcoming semester payment. It was due in 6 days. Plenty of time for life to step in and take my place. Next, the dentist. Routine checkup scheduled. Gone. Removed him from the insurance. Let him feel what full price tastes like. Then the gym. I'd been auto-paying for 2 years. No more. Coach called that afternoon asking what was up. I told him to speak with Zach. He's a man now, I said. He'll explain. Then the Uber plan, family account I'd set up, quietly footing his rides home, his midnight burger runs, his freedom. Removed his access with a tap. All of it gone by lunch. Not a single word from him. Of course not. because consequences move slower than expectations. But 3 days later, it hit him. He stormed in around 6. I was in the kitchen, searing chicken, steam fogging the windows. The kind of evening I used to enjoy. He didn't say hello, just slammed the door. Why did they drop me from classes? I kept stirring. Let the question hang in the smoke. My trainer said my membership's canceled. Tutors asking for cash. What the hell did you do? I plated the chicken, sliced lemon over it, set the table like it was any other night. Then I looked up and said it flatly. You said I'm not your dad. Why would I be paying for anything? His face twisted. Confusion first, then panic, then rage. Emily walked in just as he stepped forward, voice raised. You're being petty. Her tone accusatory. Not shocked, not curious, like she'd already decided her side. I didn't yell, didn't flinch. 6 years, I said. 6 years I've shown up, paid for everything, fixed what broke, built what didn't exist. And he gave me one sentence. Emily looked down, not ashamed, just unwilling. He wants boundaries, I said. Fine. I gave them to him. The table sat set. 3 plates, 3 chairs, but it felt like I was dining alone. That night I didn't sleep. I lay awake in the dark, listening to the quiet between their rooms. Emily didn't come to bed until past midnight. When she did, she didn't touch me, just climbed in and faced the wall. The space between us was a country neither of us wanted to claim. In the morning, the house was still. Zach's door stayed closed. No sound, not even music through the walls. Should have felt empty, but it felt like peace. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, stared out the window at the half-dead hydrangeas I used to water for her. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel the urge to fix anything. Let it die. Let it all dry up. 2 days passed before Emily said anything. She caught me in the hallway, her voice sharp. You're ruining his future. I turned slowly. She looked tired. Hair up in a rushed bun, circles under her eyes. But the tone, that same old defense. The same script. His college emailed me, she said. They're locking him out of the semester. Because of you. I nodded. No. Because of him. He chose adulthood. Now he can pay for it. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. That was the end of the conversation. 3 more days of silence. Zach started doing his own laundry. I heard him slam the dryer once when it stopped early. Probably overloaded it. He didn't ask for help. Didn't speak at all. The boy who called me Big M now treated me like background noise. Good. Let him learn what silence really feels like. Let her hear it too. This is what happens when the man they depended on decides to stop pretending. Then, a week after the kitchen confrontation, it came. The message. A short text. No greeting. No filler. I get it. You didn't deserve that. Can we talk? No apology. Not really. But something. A flicker. I didn't respond immediately. I sat with it. Let the weight of it settle. That night, I texted him back one word. Tomorrow. We met at the diner on Maple, the one with the squeaky booth and the clock stuck at 11:42. He was already there when I arrived. Looked smaller somehow. Shoulders hunched. Eyes red. He didn't touch the coffee he'd ordered. I was a dick, he said. I know it. I let him speak. Told myself I wouldn't rescue him from the silence. I thought I was just joking, but it wasn't a joke. He looked up. I've been working 2 jobs. I'm still short for tuition. For everything. I can't cover it all. I nodded. Let the silence hang between us. Then I spoke. Every dollar you earn for tuition, I'll match it. But from now on, your insurance, your bills, your gym, your calls. You said you're grown. Prove it. He swallowed hard. Didn't argue. I could see it in his eyes. This wasn't about love. It was about survival. But maybe that's where adulthood starts. I left cash for both our coffees. Didn't hug him. Didn't say, I'm proud. He didn't say, thank you. Just nodded once. Like maybe, for the first time, he understood what it meant to earn something. When I got home, Emily was waiting. Is it fixed? She asked. I shrugged. He's working now, paying his way. She sighed, like that was tragic. I walked past her and went to bed, let her sit in that silence. She taught him how to ignore me. Now she could listen to the quiet he left behind. It was always going to come to this. The quiet didn't last. It never does. Silence only hides the rot. It doesn't stop it from spreading. A week passed after that diner meeting, and for a while, the house floated in a strange calm. Zach started picking up extra shifts. I heard him come home past midnight, shoes dragging over the floor, the creak of the fridge door opening like he was scared to wake a house that had already stopped waiting for him. But I didn't ask questions. I didn't offer help. He'd made his line clear. Now I let him walk it. The matching agreement we'd made, that was the only thread connecting us. Every paycheck he brought in for tuition I matched it dollar for dollar. But it wasn't automatic. He had to send me the stub. Had to show the work. I made sure of that. It wasn't revenge. It was education. Respect is the cost of generosity. And he was finally starting to understand the price. Then the call came. Emily answered. I was out back, oiling the mower, when I heard her voice shift through the screen door. Tense. Choked. They what? She said. A long pause. No, no one told us. When? He hasn't said anything. Jesus. Another silence. Then her voice softened, like she was folding in on herself. Okay, thank you. When she came outside, her face was pale. His registration's been flagged, she said. They said he's still behind, even with your matching. If he doesn't catch up by next month, he's out for the semester. I didn't look up from the mower. So? She blinked. So? What do you mean? So? He's going to lose everything. I leaned back on my heels, wiped my hands with a rag. No, he's going to earn everything. Or he's not. She stared at me like I was speaking a different language. Are you seriously just going to let this happen? I stood. Emily, this isn't punishment. It's math. He made a decision. Now he meets the cost. Her mouth tightened. You're ruining his future. I didn't flinch. No, I'm making him responsible for it. She shook her head, stepping back like the sight of me disgusted her. He's 19. He's still a kid. He's old enough to tell me I'm not his father. Old enough to work nights. Old enough to throw me out of his life. Then he's old enough to stand on his own. Her eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. She just turned and walked back inside. That was the last time she brought it up. The silence returned. Not peace. Not quite. But the sound of reckoning. Zach stopped asking for rides. He found ways to get around: bike, bus, borrowed cars. He started waking up earlier, leaving before sunrise. Came home quieter. No more slamming doors. No more sarcastic jokes. Just the slow grind of a boy learning the weight of independence. Then something shifted. A small thing. I came home one night and saw the trash cans had been brought in. That hadn't happened in months, not without being asked. The lawn was mowed too, uneven in places, but done. No one mentioned it. The next week, I found the sink empty for 3 days in a row. No more crusted cereal bowls left for me to find. No smell of old protein shakes curdling under his bed. I didn't praise it, didn't say a word, but I noticed. Respect doesn't always arrive as apology. Sometimes it comes as silence in the right places. Still, the money was tight. I knew it. The matching arrangement barely covered tuition. There were textbooks, lab fees, meals, rent. He wasn't going to make it, but I let him fail. That was the point. 2 weeks later, a knock came at my door. He stood there, holding a folded sheet of paper, an invoice. His hands trembled slightly. They raised the fees, he said. Something about extra lab equipment. I didn't see it coming. I took the paper. Read the number. $362. Not much in the grand scheme, but to a 19-year-old trying to stay afloat, it was a mountain. I looked at him. No match this time, I said. His face fell. I held up a hand. I'll pay this one-time reset. But you do the hours. You pay me back. He nodded. No argument. No bargaining. Thank you, he said. 2 words. Simple. But I felt them. They weren't reflex. They were earned. Emily watched from the hallway. I saw it in her face. The flicker of something she couldn't name. Not pride. Not quite regret. But maybe understanding. This was how fathers are made. Not by blood. By boundaries. The next month, Zach paid me back in full. I found the envelope on my desk. Crumpled bills. A note. Done. Thanks again. I didn't frame it. Didn't pin it to the fridge. But I kept the note. He was learning. Slowly. Painfully. But learning. At dinner one night, just the 3 of us, quiet forks against plates, he said something. Not loud. Not to anyone in particular. Remember when my tuition just magically got paid every semester? A pause. He smiled. Crazy how fast miracles disappear when you act like a jerk. I looked at him. He met my eyes. We both laughed. Emily smiled too. But her eyes held something else. Grief, maybe. For the version of her son that had to die so this one could be born. I didn't comfort her. Growth isn't gentle. And healing only begins after the silence has burned everything down. It's strange. The first time you realize the house feels lighter. Not quieter. Not colder. Just lighter, like someone opened a window in a place that had been sealed shut for years. That's how it felt in the weeks that followed. The fights stopped. Not because we'd made peace, but because we'd found new positions on the battlefield. No more shouting across enemy lines. Just trenches. A ceasefire of exhaustion. Zach was different now. I watched it unfold without comment. The boy who used to leave trash in his car now vacuumed it every Sunday. The one who used to leave socks in the hallway now lined his shoes at the door like a soldier. No one told him to. He just started. Maybe that's what it takes. Maybe some people only learn what's valuable when they're forced to price it out. He started fixing things around the house. Quietly. His way of apologizing, I guess. The loose cabinet hinge in the bathroom? Tightened. The leaky garden hose I'd mentioned months ago? Replaced. He didn't brag. Didn't leave notes. But I noticed. Respect isn't loud. It's cumulative. One morning, I opened the garage and found him under his own bike. Hands filthy. Sweat on his brow. He looked up, grinned. Thought I'd changed the oil myself this time. I didn't say anything. Just handed him the torque wrench. We worked in silence. Comfortable this time. The kind of quiet that says, we're not enemies. Not anymore. Later that day, he paid for his own dentist appointment. Called and scheduled it himself. Used his debit card. When he got back, he tossed the receipt on the counter. Still can't believe a cleaning costs that much, he muttered. I smiled. Teeth are expensive. Welcome to adulthood. He nodded. Didn't complain. He was starting to understand. That week, Emily and I sat on the porch. The sun was low. Wine glasses half full. We hadn't talked much lately about anything deep. Most of our conversations had become tactical. Who's cooking, who's doing laundry, who's picking up groceries. But that night, she turned to me. He's changing, she said. I sipped my drink. Yeah. She paused. I didn't think he would. Not really. I didn't answer. Because I had always known. Not because I believed in him. But because I believed in limits. Boundaries. That when people finally hit the edge of their comfort, they grow. Or they collapse. Zach had chosen to grow. That night, as we were locking up, he came out of his room. Hey, he said. We both turned. He looked at me. You got a minute? I nodded. We stepped outside into the cool air. He stood there, hands in his pockets, toe nudging the porch wood like he was 10 again. I've been thinking, he said, about everything. How I treated you. What I said. What I didn't say. He took a breath. I was wrong. 3 words. Honest. Small. Heavy. I let them sit. Then I asked, why now? He looked up. Because I get it. Not just the money stuff. All of it. You didn't have to be here. You didn't have to fix things or pay for things. You chose to. And I took it all like it was owed. I didn't move. Didn't soften. Not yet. I'm sorry, he said. And I believed him. Not because of the words, but because they came without agenda, without expectation. He wasn't asking to be rescued. He was just finally showing up. We stood there in silence for a moment. Then he said, "I'm applying for scholarships next semester, trying to cover more of it on my own." I nodded. "Good." He smiled. "If I land one, maybe I'll take you out to dinner." I smiled back. "You'll need a third job for that." He laughed. "It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough." Since then, our relationship has changed. Not better, not closer, just clearer. He knows where I stand, and I know what he's willing to carry. He pays for his own car now, calls the mechanic himself, fixes what he can. He's still figuring it out, still makes mistakes, still forgets to refill the gas tank sometimes. But he doesn't expect me to fix it anymore. That's all I ever wanted. Last week, during dinner, he joked, "Remember when I thought Uber was free? Man, I was an idiot." We laughed. Emily laughed too. The room didn't feel like a battlefield anymore. Felt like a workshop. Like maybe, finally, we were building something worth keeping. But here's the truth no one tells you. Sometimes, the best way to show up for someone is to step back. Not to punish. Not to disappear. But to let them feel the weight of life. To let them earn their own name. And now I don't ask for Dad. I don't need it. Because I've seen the shift. In how he speaks. In how he listens. In how he looks at me when he thinks I'm not watching. There's something new in his eyes. Not love, maybe, but respect. And that's more than enough. So I ask you, was I cruel to step back? Was I wrong to cut the lines until he felt their weight? Or is that the only way some men learn? Would you have endured the years of silence, the rejection, the slow erasure? Would you have stayed? Would you have kept giving? Or would you have done what I did? Stepped back, let it burn, then waited for whatever rose from the ash. You tell me, because I already lived the answer, and I sleep just fine. Now,